The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness. For he is truly his brother's keeper and finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Ladies and gentlemen, the Church of Lazlo has begun.
Yo!
It's good to see you.
Oh, my goodness.
Have you missed me?
I've missed you. There's so much to talk about.
Really? Like what?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen you in a long time, though.
Yeah.
When you're gone, then you're like on vacation or whatever. I don't want to bother you with little stuff that I would normally text you about on a Tuesday night and say, hey, did you see this? But I do think about you, and I think, oh, I would send this to him, but he's having fun right now, and he doesn't need to respond to texts about this. But
yeah.
I try to keep a mental catalog
so you got some things you want to
of stuff.
Throw at me.
What is some stuff? Oh, well, first of all, let's just kind of go backwards in order, I guess. What about, have you been watching baseball?
Of course.
I mean, I know
last night's game was unbelievable.
First of all,
and then the Cardinals scored like 12 runs in the first inning.
Yeah, was it 11 or 12?
I mean, it was a lot. It was 11, I think, in the first inning.
It broke the record, right, for a playoff game. That was insane.
Yes.
And then I turned on the Nationals game, the Dodgers game, because I'm like one of the few people who doesn't live in L.A. who's rooting for L.A.
Right.
And when I asked why, I think it's just because I
like L.A.
Yeah, I like L.A. I think of L.A.
Right.
I think L.A. should be. Any of their teams should be America's teams. Instead of Dallas or even New York. To me, LA is the ultimate goal.
Yep,
and I'm not saying that means you even want to live in LA, but come on, you kind of want to live in LA.
And if you really were to risk, I mean, I know people got mad at us about the billboards and everything, but if you really were to risk everything, you just go give it a shot in LA.
Well, and you may say, I hear people say, oh, there's too many people. And so, okay, then let's pretend like there isn't. Let's just pretend like there aren't too many people.
But those are all just excuses as to why you won't take your one shot.
Right, it's still
By the way,
weather.
I'm still not taking my one shot, so don't get upset, Kansas City. I love it here. I choose to live here. But if you were going to take one shot, that's the place where you go take it.
It's beautiful year-round there.
Of course.
That's why people
I was just
live
there.
It's not like they say, well, it was a big port town. No, it's because it's the most perfect weather in the continental United States, right?
It's great.
It has to be. So and when you watch those games, you see Brian Wilson and Larry King and those guys sitting back there, and you forget, like, there are true Los Angeles residents.
Oh, yeah.
Like, true, this is their home. Like, listening to Adam Carolla back in the day talking about growing up in L.A., because most people in L.A. moved there.
Right.
Which really, when we lived in Seattle, there was a lot of that.
Right.
But you forget about, like, the actual LA people. So I like the Dodgers, and I was kind of rooting for them. And so then I turned on the game last night, and I'm like, bad luck. Because then it gets tied up. And I thought, all right, well, this will be okay, right? I mean, they got like one of the best pitchers in baseball. They'll be fine. And then the Nationals get a grand slam.
Yeah. I had let my oldest stay up to watch it.
Oh, you did?
So we watched it
together.
together.
Who were they rooting for?
We were rooting for L.A.
They are rooting for L.A.
My youngest went to bed. He was in bed. You know, he was in bed by like 9, so he didn't know that he missed anything.
But then a grand slam?
Well, we watched it.
If you like baseball at all...
This is deep to center field. Bellinger's back. It's a grand slam. Howie Kendrick with a 10th inning grand slam to break it open. Wow. It is 7-3, the former Dodger.
Yeah, he used to play for the Dodgers. That's the other thing. It's kind of like Justin Houston. Okay, there's another thing. Didn't talk to you about the Chiefs game over the weekend. So... everyone's injured, right? And then Mahomes gets stepped on by his own guy, friendly fire.
It's just weird because now technically the Lions and the Chiefs both have one loss.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They both technically
have a loss.
They have the same amount of losses.
Right.
Yeah, that's
the Lions and the Chiefs technically have the same amount of losses.
But I noticed a little bit of what you had warned me about, and I know you're half joking, but I watched the game, and honestly, I wasn't that stressed out about it. First of all, I don't think of the Colts as a huge rival. I mean, I get that they beat us in the playoffs, but it's not like losing to Denver on national TV or the Raiders. Also, early in the season still, and like everyone was injured. You know, you saw
Right.
everyone go out, and I just thought, it happens. You know, when the Chiefs beat the Patriots a few years ago when they broke the world record
Sure.
for the stadium thing, I remember Chiefs fans freaking out and the Patriots fans saying, call us when it's playoff time.
Right.
Let's see how you're
That's
doing
how you
this.
feel?
That's and I thought, well, that's kind of how I'm reminding myself, like, well, let's see if the Colts can still beat it. Like, if we saw the Colts again in the playoffs, then I would be stressed out about it. But it didn't feel like the end of the world. But a lot of fans acted like, this is it. Chiefs are done. I was like, oh no, this is what Lazlo was talking about, where people just expect to go undefeated now because you've got Mahomes. And it wasn't everybody, but a lot of people acting like this is it. I mean,
Right.
they can't stop these guys. They're done. Forget about it.
Same
No
old
defense.
Chiefs.
Yeah, same old Chiefs. Like, how many games have they won in the
Right.
last 5 years?
It'll be fine.
It's insane. So I wasn't that stressed out about it. But I don't know. You didn't have any other takeaways? I mean, everyone was injured.
No, I think there were injuries. I also think, I think
No wide receivers.
teams have figured out maybe a way to slow down that offense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw Nick
And they're
talking about
always
that.
going to catch up.
Yeah.
Defenses will eventually catch up to your offense. They will. And they'll have a game plan, and they'll see what somebody else does, and then they'll mirror that. And I think if you have injuries and then you have defenses catching up to you, then it can be hard. But I think it's a long season. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, the only time I got angry, actually, was when it was 4th down, and then they just hurried up and ran. And I was like, wait, you haven't been able to run
yeah,
the
that was
ball
bad.
all night. Why not call a timeout there? I don't
that was
understand
bad.
Okay, then, again, catching up with Lazlo because he's been out of town.
Sure.
Did you see Joker yet?
I didn't. Did you see it?
So I went to the drive-in over the weekend because
I'm
going
gonna see it this weekend.
and they were showing the Joker in the parking lot right next to me, which is actually a bigger screen. And so, because I got there after my double feature, my first movie had just started.
What were you gonna go see?
We were seeing scary movies, so it was like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and American Werewolf in London. And so when I got there, Nightmare had already started, and they were just getting ready to start the Joker. So
Who'd you go
turned
with?
It on. I went with my girlfriend, and I went with the guys from the Sluts. They were in town because they had a show. And Rebecca from work, her and her boyfriend were there. She's an artist. She was selling art there because it was like an art thing. It was really cool.
Okay.
By the way,
I can't go to drive-ins.
Why not?
I just feel like a serial killer.
What do you mean?
They're dusty, and I feel like
It's nice in the fall.
always I feel like that's where murders happen. I know, sorry, drive-in theaters. I don't even know if
Murders happen.
I don't even know if you advertise with this or not. I just feel like it's dark, and the
gotta
the
turn your headlights off when
boxes,
you're
the
driving.
box is always like
They got rid of those for the most part.
crackles
Where I
and
was, you had to use your car stereo.
I don't love it, and it just makes me feel. I feel like in this crowd of people, there's a serial killer in this crowd.
Well, people feel that way now after having shootings at movie theaters. They feel that way in a regular movie theater.
I know.
At least in the car, you can drive
No,
away.
I'm saying at least with the shootings at the movie theaters. Now, this is going to sound bad, but usually that's like a one-time thing.
Oh, you think someone's going around parking lots like... Psst,
No, I
slitting
feel like
through-
that's where they hang out. Like they like the
okay.
vibe of those places. Like it's kind of, dark and musty and dirty.
That sucks
And
because I wanted to talk to you about... And when I was there, all I could think was, man, I haven't been to a drive-in since high school. My friends and I used to go to the I-70 drive-in a lot, which is
they always have
closed
like a
now.
little playground up front in front of the movie thing.
Yeah, this one didn't
I always
have
feel
one.
like that's incredibly unsafe, and the kids have like ketchup on their shirts, and always like there's just people being treated. People who go to the drive-in theater are at a higher risk to be a serial killer or to be
No evidence to
treated
back this up.
to be treated poorly.
No evidence to back any of this up. This is just a feeling that he has.
It's an observation.
Make that clear.
Isn't there
It's a
observational
feeling.
science?
It's a feeling. You've seen a killer at a drive-in before?
I'm positive I have.
Oh, okay.
I just don't know
Later
which
they
one.
identified him. Right. Okay. That's called a feeling, which sucks because after going to that, all I could think was, man, this is so much fun. I hadn't been in a long time. I should come to these more often. And then I remembered years and years ago. If we have listeners who are old enough, they might remember this. But you remember KY, the old rock station, right?
Right.
They used to do this thing at the drive-in where they just had parties that were like all night. And I'm pretty sure what they would do is like they would start a movie at sundown or whatever, and then they would just play movies until sun up. But everyone would just meet in the parking lots there and just hang out and party. And the radio station, I'm pretty sure, put that thing on. I remember being a kid and feeling real jealous that I wasn't allowed to go to these things. And I thought, I was like, oh, man, we should throw a party to drive-in, but Lazlo thinks drive-ins are unsafe at any speed.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
What's not to love? You're outside.
I'm just saying I don't love it. It's, you know.
You're underneath the stars. They've got the concession stand is a big standalone thing. You go in there and they've got hot dogs and hamburgers and popcorn and Slurpees, and I love these separate, walking into it's like walking into a cafeteria. They got the cafeteria line at those things. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, I don't like any of that.
I love it. So you don't want to throw a party there?
No, I like to go to the movie theater, and someone bring me a gin and tonic and some pasta.
Well, you can bring a cooler. You can bring your own
I've been
cooler.
in them before. I feel like there's kids locked in trunks.
We were there for R-rated movies. There was no kids there at all.
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't actually know what
Parents
you're talking about.
put kids in trunks so that they don't have to pay for them.
My friends and I hid in the trunk.
Yeah,
but
right.
now they charge by the carload, I think, most of the time anyway. So it's just $10 a car or something, or $20 a car. So you don't want to have
dirty. There's, everybody's driving around, dust floating.
So you don't want to have a party.
Kids are running around on gravel rocks with no shoes on. There's nothing about it that I find.
It's like the most Americana thing. It's
air conditioned.
Your car is if you sit in your car.
So I got to sit in my car.
Yeah, you can sit
for
in your car
4 hours.
Well, you don't. You
I
get
out and jump on top of the car, but then there's just the dirt and the must everywhere, and the kids with no shoes.
And it's fall. The weather's nice. You set your chairs out. You grab your cooler. Put your feet up. You can converse. You can smoke. You smoke. You can just sit there and smoke.
No, that is
right.
Yeah, that is a benefit.
Can't do that when you're at the indoor AMC.
No, you can't.
So there
you go. You got one thing.
There you go. You can smoke. You can.
But I'll be all right. I don't have to
cooler.
smoke for 2 hours.
And bring a cooler.
Yeah, just not my thing, man.
Damn it, man!
It reminds me of if I were to take my kids and say, "Hey, let's go to the movies." We would pull up and they would say, "Not these movies, Dad. Not these movies."
Don't bring your kids then.
Don't
bring your kids.
Movies,
why can't it be?
Because I feel the same way. Not these movies, Slim. Not these movies. Hey, let's go to the movies. Okay, not these movies.
This all is an inside joke. Lazlo took his kid to Santa Calagon Days like 10 years ago because I recommended it. He told his kid we're going to the carnival. They get there, they pull up in downtown Independence, and they get out of the car, and his son says, "What are we doing?" And he says, "I told you we're going to the carnival." And his son said, "Not this carnival, Dad."
He looks around at all
Not
the people,
this
and he says, "Not this carnival, Dad. Not this carnival."
Which I will admit was pretty funny, but...
Oh, man, a 3-year-old. "Not this carnival, Dad. Not this carnival." And started crying. Which, by the way, I was like, me too, man. Me too. That son of a bitch tricked us.
So no party at the drive-in then. I was really, really pumped about that. I was going to talk to you about this.
Did you like Joker?
So anyway, yeah, it's not like
it's awesome.
It's not like a superhero movie at all.
Yeah.
It's like kind of
like a gritty crime drama, right?
Yeah. It's interesting and kind of talking about the breakdown of mental health in this or mental health providers or whatever,
right.
and the whole thing. I thought it was cool. But you should see it. I'm curious.
I will. I'm going to see it this weekend for sure.
And then, a lot of stuff.
I'm going to go to the movies myself and watch Joker.
There's a lot of stuff that we can talk about during headlines in the news. But then also, just what's going on here at the station. Jeremy's got another liquid lunch.
Which is awesome.
Did you hear about this?
Yes.
With Mountain Joy, Monday, October 14th, right? At noon. And you can get all this information at 965thebuzz.com. And then the Basic Witch Party's right around the corner with Matt and Kim.
Who are always great live. If you haven't seen Matt and Kim live, do so.
Then the Trip for Two at 2 this week has been going on without us. We've been getting people qualified every day in the 2 o'clock hour. I know we've been running best of, but people have still been getting qualified, and we'll get people qualified again today to see the Rockin' Tours, right?
Yes.
You see them here, and then you see them there. So you win tickets to see them here in Kansas City, and then you'll get to go see them in New Orleans, which I think is
awesome.
Pretty sweet. And what was the other thing? There was something else. Oh, there's the Hobo Johnson thing, right? See him here.
Oh, right.
There's a lot going on. You can go to 965thebuzz.com to see all that stuff. We have a lot going on. And then I guess a lot of the other stuff that I wanted to talk to you about was in the news. So we can talk about that during headlines. How was your trip?
I had a good time, man.
You have fun?
I did.
What did you do? You're not allowed to talk about it?
I just went and hung out.
Just went and hung out?
In Los Angeles, yeah.
Yeah, just went
and hung out. I stayed at the
Grafton
Grafton on Sunset.
Yeah, I saw
Went and had sushi one night.
Uh-huh.
Stuff like that.
Who were you hanging out with?
Friends.
Just friends, huh?
Yeah.
Anyone I might know?
Yeah, you may know them.
Would people listening may know them?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Brew at the Zoo. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, don't forget that.
Don't
That'll
forget
be fun.
Brew at the Zoo.
That's an awesome fall night out.
One of my favorite fall things. It's
You're going to do Butt Rock Psychic tonight? Today? You should do that.
We did, because we ran it during Best Of.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, the old Butt Rock Psychic. I listened to a lot of Butt Rock today. Well, I
did too.
I was just listening. And
I had to check. I mean, we might as well say it. And
there's a new Butt Rock in town.
New Butt Rock station. The rocker and kick your ass if it rocks and rocks ass. I'll rock your ass off. I'm a rockin' ass rock.
But I didn't know. I don't know a lot of that music. I realized.
If it rocks on your rock.
I had no idea how little.
The real
I knew
ass
about
rocker.
That. Were you?
Here's Metallica on the rock ass.
Were you Shazamming stuff?
Yeah, I did have to Shazam a couple things. So I was like, first, this is horrible. 2, what the hell is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, I guess, metal bands that have ballads.
Yeah,
I realized that.
A lot of.
I was just curious because I saw that this was happening, and I was like, let me see.
Yeah, let me turn over.
And boy, there's a lot of butt rockers with feelings. You know,
that's back.
Like they have feelings. Yeah. Like the old "I'm a man and I hurt." It's kind of back, but in like less Creed way and more. Well, I don't know because I had to look this stuff up.
It's bad though,
but it's not good.
I kind of think people like it. I can't imagine that they do.
I want to know who.
I mean, they're obviously doing it for some reason.
Right,
but the radio station. Whatever it is.
But okay,
is it the X?
Have you ever met someone that's come up to you and said, when you're talking about music, you're having a conversation, and they're talking to you about music, and then suddenly they say, like, you know who else I really like is Volbeat?
No, nobody's ever said that.
I've never met that person.
I know people do like them. Like, of all of them, they like Volbeat and I think Five Finger Death Punch a lot.
Well, I know that name. I borrowed my friend's truck one time, and I turned on the ignition, and I heard this music, and I hit eject on the CD player, and there was a big fist, and it said Five Finger Death Punch. And I know he likes that stuff, but I don't know it when I hear it. I've heard of the band, but again, I heard them too, and I
heard them. I turned over there just to see what it was, and it was them doing some sort of cover of Offspring's Gone Away. It may have been the goddamn worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, I missed that completely.
Yeah.
I missed that completely. I'm not actually intrigued.
You don't need to listen.
I don't need to hear it, but because I heard enough ballads. But yeah, I know that stuff's popular. I just wonder with whom. Who is it? Where are these people? I haven't met them yet. And I know I've met them, but
people who can't read.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I hate to.
I can't read.
Generalize like that, and
it's fine.
But I kind of feel like you're right. I mean, I just haven't met them.
No, me neither. I'm sure there's fine people, I guess. I don't know.
Years and years and years ago, we used to get people who would call in, and say like, why don't you play more Stone Sour or Breaking Benjamin or whatever.
Right.
And, but that's been so long. It's been so long since I've heard someone request something like that. Yeah.
6 inches of plasma.
Do they listen? They must listen to the ballads. I want to see these guys in their cars when these ballads come on and see what the expression is on their face. Do they get worked up? Like, do these guys cry after a long, hard day's work? Are they in their car coming home and they start crying to these ballads? Do they get worked up about it and emotional?
I think they might.
I think they might, right? Why else do they exist? Why else are they that popular?
Yeah. There's songs about how they did something wrong usually. They're just kind of like...
I have a drinking problem.
Yeah, and they're really kind of like... they're like angrier, dirtier country songs.
Yes, that's what
right? They're just kind of like real simple and, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
The lyrics are almost identical to the country stuff. I mean, hence why we did Butt Rock Psychic after Country Psychic. It's real similar stuff. But the music is just... It's a weird juxtaposition because the music is angry, but then the lyrics like apologetic and sad and feeling. I don't get it.
I hate it.
I really don't get it.
I think it's hated. I hate it and it's stupid.
I just think...
And I think you're doing a disservice to people
I think
by doing it. That is just me.
You think less of us.
Right.
Like you expect so little of us.
Yeah.
Or you just think that... we're in the middle of the country, so this must be...
Yeah, well, they must like it.
This must be what they want. Give them this. Well, okay. Look, and
they could be right.
For me,
right?
They could be right.
Ass, yeah, they'll probably kick our ass. I mean, they've tried everything else. 5 different radio stations. Maybe this is the one. Maybe
different radio stations. Of all those radio stations that went up against us, my favorite thing during all of those
There's been 5.
There's been 5, yeah. Well, one was when I told the guy to move his car. I did like that when I pretended like I was security. Well, actually, it's all related to him because I don't want to say his name, but he worked for another station that competed against us, one of the 5, then went to work for that station which competed against us.
Yeah.
And I lied and told him that I was a security guard and made him move his station vehicle. But he started calling in to do our traffic.
Oh, that was the worst.
You know, that was a real, this industry's a son of a bitch moment. And I think you told me, like, hey, man, like off the air, you're like, that's going to
happen to all of us.
Welcome to radio, man.
Yep.
Because here's the thing.
You can be a star one day, no disrespect, a star one day, but then you're old Lazlo Blue Eyes doing the traffic. And,
right.
I mean, that's just the way it goes. By the way, it's any job,
But he was doing both at the same time. Usually, like, we had a traffic guy for a long time that was a guy I used to listen to on the Fox. Do you remember that? I was like, I know you. I used to listen to you. I like you. And we got along with him for a while until he says that I said something bad about his kids, which I don't recall, and he stopped calling in. But the other guy, Lazlo, he was calling us while he was still on the radio. So he did mornings and then changed his name and called us to do traffic. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Of all those fights. What was that guy's name? Not Randy Newman.
Text line says, my cousin's girlfriend loves Breaking Benjamin, and everyone thinks she sucks. So, there you go.
Who's that guy that was real famous here in Kansas City that was on one of the stations that we had to...
Randy Newman.
Yeah, not Randy Newman, the other Randy.
Randy Raley?
No, Randy...
Jackson.
No, Miller?
Randy Miller, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because when I was a kid, he was very, 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 very popular.
Yeah.
And then he went on one of the stations that just went up against us. Man, they talked a lot of trash. They had like promos running. They're like, listen to the sound of the buzz going out of business. Whatever.
Yeah,
I remember listening to my car. I was like, whoa, we're going out of business?
Yeah.
Well, at the time, I guess
damn.
we were. Yeah.
And it scares you. You're because there's a chance.
And it was Randy. I'm pretty
sure.
And
by the way, the fact that there's been 5 and we're still here, we're 5-0.
Technically undefeated.
Technically undefeated, but at some point there'll be a 1 in there. We may be 6-1, 7-1, or 5-1, but eventually people will be right, and we will end up losing our jobs. That's just the way this business works. Like I said to Nick Wright, if you keep saying Tom Brady's going to get old and eventually suck, you are absolutely going to be correct. Yep. It's just when. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. So we will lose eventually.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to get comfortable and then say, oh, well, look what they're doing over there, and kind of laugh about it. Unfortunately, we're due for that 1.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be the one that scares us the least.
If it's them.
I know, but isn't that always the way that it is? It's the one that scares you the least.
People are like, what are you talking about? We love it.
You're like,
I put my dick in the dirt.
I shouldn't have hit her, but I did. And I apologize. Remember I asked you one time, well, there's no way you remember, this was 15 years ago, to name one of those bands, just one, that you hated the least or maybe even kind of respected, and you couldn't come up with one. You finally said the name of a band, and I don't even say who it is, but you finally said the name of a band, and you were like, but I don't want you to think that I like them.
Of those bands that I would like the best?
If you worked at one of those stations, which one would you hate the least or like the most, depending on...
I'd have to go back to like the 90s and be like, there's like these bands that I don't think were good, but I could stomach them more than I could the other stuff. Like if that's Candlebox or Seven Mary 3 or something ridiculous like that.
Guns N' Roses, no. Metallica, no. You hate them. And I was really kind of thinking of more like post-millennial, like 2000. And
Seether? But I don't know any Seether songs.
You're saying you might hate them the least?
Maybe, but I can't name any of their songs off the top of my head.
So do you remember who you told me at the time you thought maybe you hated the least?
No.
You said Godsmack at the time.
Oh, yeah, I heard, yeah.
But they were just getting real famous at the time. Never have I ever been so far away where I feel my wife asking me for money. I don't ever know if I don't know if that's their song, but I'm pretty sure that's their song. Okay. That's the only song I know of theirs, though. Because I'm sure that's probably like a ballad. What about who's the other one?
Maybe I hate them the least.
My favorite. Oh, Disturbed is my favorite, and I know people like them. Wah!
That's ridiculous.
That
you've lost your mind. You're ridiculous.
So funny, so funny. You listen to a song and that happens. Yeah. Do they do let the bodies hit the floor?
No, that was like two pounds of blood. No, body count, body.
You're right. It's a pound, two. No, you're
3
right.
pounds of
3 pounds of flesh, 3 pounds of death punches. I just Googled what the pounds
5 pounds of death.
Who's the one where they're
5 pounds of death.
Who had the drowning pool?
Drowning pool. That's
Who had the lead singer die on tours?
Drowning Pool.
That
I
was
think.
them.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I just had a moment and realized that Drowning Pool and Disturbed, 2 different bands. That was definitely a moment for me. I definitely thought those were the same bands up until just now. So, well, you know what? Somebody likes it. So we can sit here and laugh about it, but we're going to...
We'll laugh about it all the way till we're unemployed, but whatever.
Exactly. Totally possible that we're going to look back 9 months and go, huh.
Wah.
Boy.
We'll have to go over there and work.
That's what I'm saying.
Wah.
Oh, we won't be over there. They'd never allow us over there. We'll be in Iowa.
You never know who they'll take over there.
Be in Iowa. That's true.
Wah.
Well, that's the worst part about the whole thing, you know.
Oh, right.
Is that, like, you know, the place that you're supposed to go when you get fired is gone.
Right.
That sucks.
Wah.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
that
was
suck.
always my plan. I was like, man, when I get fired, at least there's somewhere else I could go to try and work, right?
Right.
Remember, I used to call what was the other one of the 5 stations, the Planet. Remember, I called them the backup planet.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's what I called them because I was like, well,
idea.
There's people, because we had people who worked at the station.
I'd much rather
there.
go do classic rock or something. And I don't even like classic rock, but I understand its value.
Oh, I hate it less.
Right, I understand its value. And there's some, like, I don't like Zeppelin. I know people get mad, but you know, there's some of it that I understand. I'm like, fine.
The problem with the classic rock is that you've heard those songs so many times.
I don't have to go do
You've heard Supertramp so many times. So that would be the problem. Is I've already heard these songs 6 million times. I do like them. But if I'm listening to Drowning Pool, obviously I don't know those songs. So I guess what I'm asking is,
but I'd rather,
as
much look, people can get mad at me all they want. As much as I don't like the Eagles, I'd rather listen to the Eagles than Papa Roach. I don't want to listen to Papa Roach.
Oh, I don't want to listen.
I'm not listening to Trapped, Headstrong. Headstrong, I'll take you on.
That's not a real thing.
That is a real thing.
I mean, it was a real thing, but it's not a real thing.
That's a real
anymore.
thing, and they play it.
Hold
people
on.
Play it.
People don't still
I don't know
play
if they
that.
play. I don't know if they, but people play it.
No way.
Trapped, Headstrong, I'll take you on. I'll take on anyone.
I remember.
I can't.
That's not a real thing, though,
That
anymore.
is a real thing.
That's like saying people still play the Macarena on the radio.
They might. I'm not sure, though. I don't know about pop music very much.
People still play that Headstrong song?
Yep.
Take on anyone. No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize that. I guess got a lot to learn before we get that new job.
Yeah.
So, all right, headlines coming up here in a few minutes.
Sure,
and,
plus Trip for 2 at 2.
Trip for 2 at 2 to get qualified for that, and Ticket Fairy. I'll come.
This is the Church of Lazlo. On 95 The Buzz.
Flashing with paparazzi in an instant.
These infected monkeys. This is Headlines on the Church of Lazlo.
Yo. Hit me with that news and information, Sugar Wiener.
All right, news and information in no particular order, because I know sometimes people will say, why would you start with this when obviously the biggest story is Trump or whatever?
Okay.
Local news here, and I sent this story to myself yesterday thinking this is something we should definitely talk about, and then Snowcone sent it to me this morning.
Okay.
So, you may have seen it, but a local student was arrested for pointing a finger gun at other students. You have seen this story.
I did. I haven't seen an update of it, but yes, I saw the original story.
Overland Park, the student was arrested, after she made a gun symbol out of her fingers and pointed it at other students. Now, she's 12 years old, and it sounds like the school district is saying, we're not the ones who arrested her. The police arrested her, so talk to them. This is from KSHB here.
Overland Park police arrested the 12-year-old on September 18th for apparently making a gun symbol out of her fingers and gesturing at other students. We reached out to the spokesperson for Shawnee Mission School District, David Smith, about the school's policies. He wouldn't agree to an interview and only said this in email. I want to be very clear. The arrest of this student was wholly unrelated to any district policy. It was a municipal police department decision, and our policies don't don't impact police department decisions.
Okay, 41 Action News says that they reached out to the Overland Park Police Department about the decision to arrest a student. No one was available to discuss the matter on camera. Overland Park Police said in an email that they were made aware of the threat through the school district's online reporting portal.
Okay.
So does that mean like a teacher reported, I'm guessing?
Bullying or something?
School officials and school resource officers questioned the student as well as another. The interviews corroborated the account of the potential threat. The resource officer arrested the student and took her back to, quote, an appropriate facility, police said. The Johnson County District Attorney's Office then filed charges.
They filed charges?
Here's a quote. Ensuring the safety of everyone in a school or community is a top priority and requires constant vigilance. Parents reminding their children of proper behavior in school and an understanding by the public that each case is thoroughly investigated before any arrest is made and a charge is filed. So the story that I heard is a mix between these local news things and the Kansas City Star was that someone asked her, like, who would you kill? Like maybe this other kid or something. Who would you kill in this classroom? This is just a story that I heard. I have no idea if it's true.
You heard from
and
who?
Snowcone and I were talking about it earlier, and between the stories, one of them said that someone had asked her, who would you kill in the room? And so she makes the finger gun, points it at, I don't know, the teacher and some other students or something, and then even pointed it at herself. So if you're saying that this is threatening because someone asked, like, who would you kill?
Right.
That makes more sense to me than just saying this kid made a finger gun and went,
well,
boom,
clearly,
boom.
I don't know. Maybe there has to be more to the story. You could say, okay, well, the police arrested her. They made a huge mistake. But then for the prosecutor to charge her, there has to be more to the story.
Yeah. The district attorney's office filed charges, according to KSHB.com. So,
and what are those charges?
What are the charges? Was it because did her classmate ask her, who would you hurt? And then she says, oh, I would hurt this person. Then now you've got a threat, I guess, as opposed to just making a finger gun.
Right. Still, you
also
can
12
carry
and not
guns
6,
anywhere, but you can't carry finger guns?
Right. When I worked,
the problem is we have a real gun problem in this country, and it seems at the point where you think, oh, boy, maybe she should be taken in. You have to then look at where we are as a country and how we handle weapons in this country and think, so we're arresting kids for finger guns?
Right.
But they're going out to, wherever the case may be, their parents' house or gun shows or wherever, and buying actual real guns, and there's nothing we can do about that?
And I understand the idea that you got to take all threats seriously.
Right.
But boy, I'd like to know more about the story and what was the exact threat.
Maybe they did go.
Maybe they said,
something.
"Hey, you know what? She wasn't kidding around. She was making some pretty serious threats."
Right.
And yes, she also did the finger gun thing, but that's not what we arrested her for. Maybe that's what they'd say. I don't know. Maybe they'd say that was just incidental. Oh yeah, she did do that, but they're using that as a headline.
There'll be more to the story for sure.
When I worked at the preschool, they had a rule: no finger guns, and these kids are 5 and 6 years old. So they said, you can't make finger guns. And so, of course, they constantly said, let's make finger guns. I don't know that they would have had we not made a rule that said no finger guns.
Right.
But no one got arrested. They were also 5 and 6 years old, and none of them were actually making threats.
She was 12, so she was in the 6th, 7th grade?
Yeah, probably 6th grade, right?
7th grade,
that was my guess.
Depends.
So there's got to be a story. But, this is a national headline now out of Kansas City because the headline says that a student was arrested for making a finger gun. Is that what happened? All right. You ever bought any parking lot meat? You ever been tempted to buy some parking lot meat? So this story actually happened in Lansing, Michigan, but it relates to here because the
capital.
The company apparently is based out of Missouri. You ever sell meat door to door?
No.
Never sold steaks. Remember, Nick said he used to sell steaks, right? My mom had someone come to the door with one of those freezer trucks, sell her a box of steaks. My brother came over to the house that night, found out that she bought these steaks, called the company and said, you have to come back and pick this up and refund her, or I'm going to sue you. Something like that. They gave the money back. He said, you scammed her. You scammed the old lady here out of her money because
Why?
Because he said she paid $250 for $20 worth of meat. That they lied to her about what was in the box or misled her. I don't know, but this is still a thing that people sell meat. Like people sell it on TV. I know you can order boxes of frozen meat. I don't really understand because, but this is my white privilege showing. Like chicken and stuff isn't that expensive at the grocery store. I get that it's maybe more expensive than a can of soup, but it's not like so expensive.
You can still buy chicken pretty cheap.
Chicken
thighs are pretty cheap.
So this company, they say it's Homestead Steaks. They claim that they set up shop in a Lansing mall in the parking lot. And so they've got a tent, and you show up and they say, oh, boy, have we got a deal for you, I guess.
Okay.
Get a great deal on these steaks, on this chicken. And people bought it, and they took it home. And some people complained that it wasn't so good.
Homestead Steaks is based out of Missouri. Its tent-based operation in mall parking lots across the country gets an F rating from the Better Business Bureau. Customers have given it some sizzling hot takes. One described the meat as grisly, foul-smelling, doesn't taste like any chicken I've ever had. Another claims they charged me $289 for a $25 box of meat.
That's like what happened to my mom. $289 for a $25 box of meat. Now, the problem is what they
That's
warned
good salesman.
What they warned customers about is, hey, if you buy meat from someone in a parking lot and then you don't like the meat and you want to take it back, there's a good chance they're not going to be in that parking lot anymore. And they weren't. They were gone.
Well, that makes sense.
So they set up shop, and they're warning customers like, hey, it is approved. This meat has been approved by the FDA or whatever. But if you decide to buy meat in a parking lot, just know that it might be hard to take it back if you have problems with it.
Real son of a bitch, huh?
Do you remember the story that Nick told about selling the meat? He'd probably get mad if but he claims that he came up with that tactic. And I don't know. That sounds like something that someone else would have taught him as a sales guy. So people go door to door, and they still do this here, and they sell meat out of trucks. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure he said, when we talk to him next time, I can ask him, but I'm pretty sure he said that when he was doing it, his biggest sale came when he went to someone's house and he said, listen, my refrigeration unit or my truck just broke. Yes. I'm not going to be able to get this stuff back to work in time. It's going to go bad, so I got to sell it. I'll sell it all to you. And I remember him saying, and my mom saying, that the salesman will try and sell you the freezer. If you say, like, I don't have enough room for half a cow or whatever, they say, we'll sell you the freezer too. Here's a deep freeze. Take it inside. Now, I don't know exactly how that worked with Nick since he said that the freezer was broken.
Right.
But I feel like he said that he got a big sale out of that because he claimed that the freezer was broken. But I was like, man, that sounds like something you would have heard other guys before you trying to do.
He's a hustler.
He's pretty good. I couldn't do that. I couldn't sell. I'm not a good salesman. I couldn't go door to door and sell.
I wouldn't want to,
sell
but
anything.
I feel like I could. Are you saying you couldn't lie to an old lady and sell her chicken wings?
I say I'm not a good salesman. Terrible salesman.
Like you would feel bad about it or something?
That, yeah, and I'm just not good at. My brother's good at it. Like my brother can sell you something, right?
Right.
He can convince you that his product is better than the competitors and that you're currently getting ripped off and you'd be better off with his stuff. Right. He convinces me that, and that's because he's a good salesman, and he is a salesman for a living. That's what he does. But I don't have that. I can't knock on someone's door or even...
Well, maybe I might not be good at it, but I could do it. I wouldn't feel bad. If I sold your mom...
$25 box of meat for $289, that's what the story said happens.
Yeah. I wouldn't feel bad about that.
They say oftentimes what happens
your mom,
is...
I wouldn't do it too because we have a relationship. But just someone's mother, I would sell them a bunch of chicken.
And try and tell them that this is $200. Hey, this is a good deal. It's $289 bucks.
It is $200 worth of chicken. You know why it's $200 worth of chicken?
Because you paid it.
Yeah, because that's what it costs.
All right, fair enough. Well, if you're going to buy meat out of a parking lot, just know you might not be able to take it back. And I still don't really understand if you want to buy flanks. I mean, what kind of steak is this? Look at this picture from the local news up there. That looks like the worst breakfast steak I've ever seen. And in the video, they're cooking it up, and I thought that cannot be that expensive to buy at the grocery store.
Oh, no.
And if you're telling me that these people were selling you $25 worth of meat for $289 and you weren't even getting a good deal anyway, so why were you buying meat out of a parking lot? All right, I don't know if you have seen these videos online where people say, it'll have a caption that'll say like, 36-year-old man thinks he's meeting 16-year-old girl for sex at Walmart.
Oh, I saw it on the 14-year-old...
Okay, that's one of them.
14-year-old.
That's the most recent one I've seen.
Okay,
yeah. So you saw the same one where they were like
running through the parking lot?
Yeah, at Walmart, and they met in like the clothing department or whatever.
Yeah.
That video that I saw, they did not blur his face or anything, right? And that's because these are not police that are doing this. This isn't local news that is doing this. It's not even like To Catch a Predator when they used to do that. It's amateurs. And apparently they have set up a bunch of Facebook pages. There's a bunch of groups across the country that this is what they do. I think they're doing it for fun. I guess they would say they're doing it as community service.
Right.
But they set up these stings like To Catch a Predator, and then they chat with these guys, and they go and they meet them, and they film them and say, pedophile exposed or whatever.
Right.
Then they will try and take the stuff to the cops. The problem is lawyers say, well, if this was set up by police, then the police have records of every single thing that was texted, right?
Right.
And that can all be admissible in court. When it's just people, amateurs doing it, most of that stuff isn't going to be admissible in court. So it makes it really hard to prosecute these people. So all you're really doing is embarrassing people. And I don't like it because we don't know if these people have actually been convicted of it. I mean, they haven't been convicted, a lot of them. And so the idea that you're just going to put their face on the internet and say, this person's a sex offender, maybe they are, but I'm just trusting this dude on Reddit
right.
or whoever it is.
Who knows, right.
So this group of teenagers, they decided they wanted it on it, teenage girls.
Okay.
Like, you know what we should do? We should set up our own little to catch a predator operation, a little sting operation here. And they started talking to some guy. I don't know where they met him originally, but they started talking to him and they're like, let's meet up. So he does. He comes and he meets up with them. The problem is he kidnapped one of them.
Yeah.
He kidnapped one of the girls. And I get that they're teenagers, they're 16, 17, but if you're parents, I would hope that you are not aware that the kids are doing that.
I understand the problem here. You're finding a predator.
Yeah.
And then you're going to meet a predator.
Yeah. And
on
also,
your own. And then he does predatory things.
Yeah. So I guess this guy asked the girl, like, come sit in the car and talk to me, and then he took off with her.
Investigators say Dreyfus convinced the 17-year-old girl to get into his vehicle to talk and then drove off. The girl was able to message her friends, who called 911 for help. Deputies got Dreyfus to pull over, and the girl wasn't hurt. But Attorney Jan Ronis says the teen's actions could complicate the criminal case.
Normally, it's like I said, as law enforcement runs these operations, everything is recorded. The solicitations are recorded, the conversations, the meeting places are surveilled. This is a bunch of kids.
I don't like any of this. I don't like, first of all, there's been a bunch of stories about people who were accused of sexual assault or rape, and then they're found innocent, right? And I'm not saying that this is most cases, people. I know this is the minority of the cases, and yes, I believe women, but when these guys are found to be innocent and someone says, I did make up this story, and they admit to it, those guys have already been labeled in the media. Their faces have been shown, and I've seen now there is a push. Some people, there's a guy who I guess is a YouTube star who was accused, and the accuser later admitted that she was making it up. He says, I want to change the law so that you can't show people's faces until they're convicted. You're labeling these people as, I
think that's fair.
Rapists or sexual assaulters, pedophiles, whatever.
I think that's fair. Just why do we have to do it?
Right.
And people say, we're not going to show the victim's face, right? Or name. What? Okay, well, let's not show the victim's face or name, and let's not show
the accuser's
face and name until we get all the information and plays out in court.
Yes, and he's convicted.
Right.
Otherwise,
I think that's completely fair, and I can't imagine anyone would argue against that.
Why do people think that that's okay? I mean, really, I could say that about any criminal case, anything that you're being charges that you're facing.
We do have a right to be in the courtroom.
That's true. Yes.
Right.
Well, the cameras sometimes are allowed in there,
right.
But being accused of sexual assault or being accused of being a pedophile.
We've already made, and I know people are going to get mad at me, but we've already made an exception to the right to be in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Because that right doesn't just go to the accused, it goes to the accuser too.
Yeah.
And we've already made some sort of judgment that says, you know what, let's not do that for victims of sexual assault.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Well, if we've done that, then we certainly can change the laws and the rules to say, you know what?
Yeah, cameras aren't allowed in all courtrooms.
We've seen the courtroom cameras where they're recording, but it's not showing the person on the stand.
They do that? Yeah, sometimes cameras are allowed, but they can't.
But you don't show their face. Like, you can do that.
And sometimes they just
don't
allow cameras. There's plenty of courtroom sketches still that we have to see because they don't allow the cameras in there. So the idea that people on Reddit and Facebook and whatever are just going out and setting up these stings and then saying, this guy's a sex offender,
don't like that.
I would think you're eventually going to get sued. Someone's going to sue you for defamation eventually, unless they are all pedophiles or sexual.
Catch them all, I guess.
Yeah. I want to talk about this at least once, and I know you've been gone for a while. We would have talked about it already otherwise. But this story, to me, you and me and Nick Wright were in a group text on Saturday night talking about this story. When I heard that this has happened, I thought it was the biggest story in months, like just insane. When I got home that night, I was looking at USA Today, the Washington Post. It was the second story at the highest on all these things. It was the second biggest headline. It was not even the top headline Saturday night when the news had come out. By Sunday, it was already 4th, 5th, 6th headline. By Monday, it had basically disappeared. Now, if you remember, Amber Geiger is the police officer who was convicted.
Oh, yeah. This story's crazy.
Who was convicted of shooting Botham, right, in his home, and she got 10 years. Now, there was someone who testified against that police officer. That someone's name was Joshua Brown. Joshua Brown lived in the apartment complex, and if you watch any of the court case, you may have seen him. He showed up in a Dragon Ball Z t-shirt. He testified as to what he heard, that he heard these noises. What kind of noises did you hear? Okay, trial happens. Days later, after she's convicted, Joshua Brown is dead.
Right.
He was shot in a parking lot. Obviously,
the parking lot of his apartment complex, but he had moved.
Yeah, he was in
miles away from
different apartment complex than where they had lived.
Yeah.
But in the apartment complex parking lot where he lived, shot in the face, shot multiple times, right? But at least one of the things said that he was shot in the mouth. Now, I am not a conspiracy theorist guy, but this guy just testified against the police in Dallas, and then he shows up dead. So the police give us an answer. They say, here's what happened, because I was waiting for that answer.
Yeah. Right.
So here's what happened. Drug deal gone wrong. 3 guys from Louisiana decided to drive to Dallas to buy drugs from this guy. Drug deal goes wrong. He gets shot. We looked in his house. Turns out he had a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs. And so this was completely unrelated to the Amber Geiger case. And now it's gone. It's like not even a story anymore, except on the BBC and stuff.
It's our policy that we pursue all murder suspects. We pursue them aggressively. We pursue them thoroughly with the hope of bringing closure to the family.
How is this not one of the biggest stories in the country? Why aren't people talking about this? And it's just like already gone. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but in my mind, I guess I am conspiratorial because in my mind, the Dallas police said, this is what happens if you testify against a cop. You will never testify against a cop.
How are they
and
able
there's
to keep
nothing you
everybody
can
so
do.
quiet about it?
Right?
Yeah. You know, that's the thing. Like, I can understand the conspiracy theory, too. Who did it, who really did it, how it happened, where the drugs really came from, and where they went, right?
Yeah.
Got that. How do they keep the media to just really not talk about it? That seems like something damn near impossible, right?
Right. And if you Google his name...
And where are the 3 Louisiana guys?
You can find stories. I mean, you will find the stories about it, and you can find them, you know, in big national newspapers. You can even find them in the Dallas news.
Where are the guys from Louisiana?
They're under arrest.
Yeah,
they've got
all
these
3 of them?
Yeah, they've got these suspects who are under arrest. And you know, of course, part of me also says, why would you drive from Louisiana to Dallas to buy weed? Like, you don't have to drive that far
to buy weed. No. It's not even like he was a prolific drug dealer. Just by he lives in an apartment. It's not like this guy's a kingpin, from what I can tell, where he's selling kilos. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what they're trying to make it sound like, though. They say investigators have concluded that Joshua Brown's murder was tied up in a drug deal gone bad, something that had nothing to do with what might be the highest profile murder trial Dallas has ever seen. Talking about Amber Geiger.
It seems fishy to me.
Here are the facts that we know. The Dallas Police Department has identified 3 suspects who allegedly traveled to Dallas.
Something's off.
From Louisiana to engage in a drug sale.
Something just smells wrong.
Yeah. This is not a conspiracy to retaliate against a witness, but another separate violent crime. That brings us to our second takeaway. This is DallasNews.com. Joshua Brown was a resident of Dallas and a person who deserves justice. If it is later proven that he was himself engaged in criminal activity, no one... look, I get what they're saying, like if they can prove it. But how could they ever prove it to me? Does that make me a conspiracy theorist? Because the people that have to prove it to me are the police. And to me, the police are the ones who killed them. That's what I'm worried about.
What we would actually need, it seems like as if this guy was a drug dealer, people would have to come out and say, I bought drugs from him. Right?
But even then...
if local residents came out and said, listen, I bought...
Louisiana guys, I guess.
But I'm saying, other people around the Dallas area, if he sold that much...
I see what you're saying.
Local residents saying, "Yeah, I know this guy. I bought drugs
from him." They're not going to do that.
But even
I'm saying they're not going to. Of course not.
But even if they did
wouldn't that help a little bit?
Not really, because then again, I just think, and I know it's conspiracy theory thinking. The cops
have to hear the story from the 3 guys in Louisiana. Like, is there one who's going to snitch on the other 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and tell the truth of what happened right now. If they're getting framed and railroaded too, then we'll never know. But in this situation where somebody dies and there's 3 people in custody. Well, one of them usually tells on the other one, right? We should be able to get some story from it.
I thought they had all 3. This story is from last night, and it says that they captured the 2nd out of 3. So is there one that's still on the loose?
Okay.
Because the other thing that I wondered was, where did they get these guys? Right?
Right.
I got them from Louisiana, literally, I understand that. But what were they in trouble for? How did they find them?
Right.
Are there cops in Louisiana?
Did they set up the deal? Like, did they know these guys would drive to buy these drugs? If they gave them the deal and set everything up just to get them framed.
Oh, see, I just imagine they call some parish in Louisiana where they got and hey, we need 3 guys. You got 3 guys who are in and out of jail or maybe in jail right now. We need 3 of them. We're gonna say that they did this? Or do they have to have some...
that seems a little much.
It would just be the biggest coincidence ever. They would have to be. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And the thin blue line or whatever, they stick together. They do. Like, it's just hard to believe otherwise.
It's a crazy story, and I think the craziest thing about the story is that it's not a bigger story. That you have to literally Google his name and news it right now if you want to find the stories. Because if you're just scrolling through the headlines on ABC News or Washington Post, there's a good chance you're not going to even see the story. A guy testified against a cop in Dallas, and then he got shot, ambushed in his parking lot of his apartment complex, shot in the face, and the cops came out and said, yep, unrelated, he was selling drugs.
Yeah.
Huh? We already dealt with the Epstein thing and just said, all right, I guess we're never going to know.
Right.
Epstein was on suicide watch and somehow died. And we're just like, we give up. But is that what we do with this too? We just say, well, there's nothing we can do. I got to hope that there's some journalist, because it's always that one journalist who wants to write a book, and they go down and they expose these corrupt cops, or they write a book and then a documentary is made. Hopefully someone is on their way down there right now.
Somebody should be down there with a camera to do a documentary.
And saying, I'm going to follow this story for the next 2 years.
Right,
I'm going to look into these police. I want to know everything about these cops that were involved in this. I want to know who found him.
We should do that.
We're never going to do it. Man, those people have such an amazing amount of follow-through and just patience, the amount of time that it would take to follow through on that stuff.
We could do it.
And then stuff that I guess should have probably been at the top of headlines. But like I said, this is in no particular order. Yes, I put parking lot meat that was being sold in Michigan above Biden saying that Trump should be impeached. But that's because they're in no particular order. But Biden did finally say Trump should be impeached.
To preserve our Constitution, our democracy, our basic integrity, he should be impeached.
Oh, okay, all right. And then Trump says, yeah, well, he's saying that because I heard he's not doing so well. I heard he's getting beat by the other candidates now, so whatever. Matt Lauer. This was another thing that you were gone, and yesterday it seemed to be the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about the Matt Lauer story. Now, if you're not already familiar, real quick rundown. Ronan Farrow has written a book that's going to come out, and in the book there is talk about Matt Lauer. A woman accused Matt Lauer in this book of assaulting her. Is that fair to say?
Rape.
Does she use the word rape?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the story is that during the Sochi Olympics, which I remember seeing Matt Lauer at the Sochi Olympics, that she was there and she had intimate contact with Matt Lauer. At one point, how did it start? She forgot her press pass?
He stole her press pass as a little joke.
Oh, a little joke. He's got her press pass.
She went to go get her press pass from the room, got it, and then left, and then he texted, I think it said, come on back. She said, okay, came on back.
She came on back, and then that's when she claims that she was assaulted, right?
Yes.
Now, the thing that people are discussing, though, is not only that, but also the fact that apparently this relationship continued for a while.
Yeah, when they got back to the U.S., according to her, they had a consensual relationship that was only sex. It wasn't,
because he's married, right?
He is married, yeah.
So that, but she's claiming that, yes, he assaulted me that time, but then we continued to have a consensual sexual relationship after that.
Yes.
Okay, and then the other big thing in this Farrow book is that Harvey Weinstein, according to this book, Harvey Weinstein knew that people knew that he was a predator, and he threatened NBC News, I guess, and said, if you talk bad about me, I will expose Matt Lauer, because I know what Matt Lauer's been up to.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a second, it's not like NBC is the only news outlet.
Right.
So you've got dirt on Matt Lauer. If the news is like, well, we've got something big on Weinstein, but then I wondered, because in that documentary that was on Hulu about Weinstein, they talk about Ronan Farrow's writing that book or whatever.
Right.
And so didn't he work for MSNBC at the time?
So from what I remember, Ronan Farrow had done all the research on Weinstein, was ready to go with the story, and NBC said no. They blackballed and said, you can't do it. So he left and went to the New Yorker, and that's when he
wrote the story. And so now maybe we know that the reason it didn't get released through NBC is because Weinstein threatened Matt Lauer. So that means that NBC knew about Matt Lauer and said, hey, we got to keep this Matt Lauer thing under wraps, because now you're talking about a lot of people who should be in trouble. If you knew that Matt Lauer, I'm not talking about Matt Lauer cheating on his wife.
Right.
I'm talking about if you knew that Matt Lauer was sexually assaulting people.
Right. But I just listened to this podcast where Weinstein knew for a long time that this was coming. And he had hired Gloria Allred's daughter, who does the same thing she does, to represent him. Right. And it was like, I think, close to a year of them trying to fight this before it came out. So maybe that's how they.
Yeah, they talk about that in the documentary, and that's when he was really also trying to like make sure he gave a lot of money to prominent people and be seen with people who be seen with Hillary Clinton and be seen with feminists and all that stuff because he knew that it was coming. But the bottom line is Matt Lauer has been silent really since those accusations originally emerged. Right? Mm-hmm. He hasn't really said a word, and now he is saying that he regrets being so quiet because he's denying a lot of this. Right?
Okay. His letter came hours after Variety magazine revealed that in Ronan Farrow's new book, Catch and Kill, former NBC News employee Brooke Neville says Lauer raped her in that hotel room in Sochi.
So now his ex-wife, Matt Lauer's ex-wife, released a statement about all of this. In response to your inquiry, our client has asked us to tell you that now that the parties are officially divorced, her priority and only concern is for their wonderful children. Our client will make no further statements. Why that's such a big headline right now? I guess just because she hasn't said anything. But he also, when I was reading this, of course, they mentioned his age. He's 61.
Huh.
Man, I thought that guy was like 50.
Yeah, he looks
right?
good.
He looks really, really good. Anyway, he's saying that being quiet for so long was a mistake, and he is now, denying these accusations. And of course, the big thing that people were debating online is, can you be sexually assaulted by someone and then continue on with the consensual relationship? I would think yes. Of course, the answer to that is yes. But I don't think that's what you're really asking. I think what you're asking is, was it sexual assault? If she had this consensual relationship with him later, then was it really sexual assault? Well, look, I wasn't there. But it's not like she's lying about the fact that they continued on with the sexual relationship.
Right.
She's saying that particular night, he was, too aggressive?
Yeah.
I mean, because they did end up having sex, right?
I wouldn't say too aggressive. He raped her.
He raped her. She's saying that he raped her that night.
And she said no, and eventually stopped and let it happen. I mean, that's rape. That's not, pressured into it. That's rape.
So, but is it possible that you could be raped and then also continue to have sex with that person later?
Everyone deals with trauma differently, of course.
Of course you could.
You can't put yourself in her shoes,
So this whole idea to just say, well, look, it's obviously BS because they continued having sex. So, no, that's not how that works.
Mentally effed up you can be from something like that?
Sure.
Like, you can't put yourself in their shoes.
Well, and you could even say, like, man, I was not expecting that. I'm attracted to this person, but I was not expecting that to happen when I went over there tonight. That was very uncomfortable. I was saying no, and he continued. But you could think that, but still be telling yourself, but you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have gone over there.
Exactly.
I guess it was obvious that it was a booty call. I should have known. You can blame yourself.
Right. And
Victims
then maybe
blame
it takes
themselves all the time.
a year later when other people are telling their stories to be like, oh, well, goddamn, that did happen to me.
Yeah,
And maybe at the time you don't even think that it overly happened to you. You're like, oh, okay.
Right.
This is what happened. It was right, like you're saying. And then, you say, well, maybe it was my fault.
Yeah.
Whatever I did. Yeah. And you blame yourself. And then you have sex with them again, but then when somebody else tells their story, you're like, oh, no.
Right.
He's done, it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for people outside to say, like, well, I would react this way. I would do this.
Right, okay.
But you don't know until it happens. Everyone deals with trauma differently.
And a lot of us have something in our lives that happened that we excuse, and it doesn't have to be a sexual assault thing. I'm saying something that happened in your life where other people, third party, would say, you should not allow that. You should not allow that person to talk to you like that, or that person was bullying you at work, and you think, oh,
and you
just
don't really
give me a
think
hard
about
time.
it. Yeah.
Right, but in your mind, you can justify things.
And then, if 80 other people came out and had the exact same story as you,
then you go,
and
you know
saw
what,
the
that
reactions
was.
they got.
Yeah, that was rape. Right, exactly.
You might rethink,
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Trump news, obviously, this impeachment inquiry is going on, and he's obstructing. He doesn't want to hand over any of the information that the Democrats are asking for, which they say, hey, that's also obstruction of justice, which is an impeachable offense. So it's essentially, hey, give us this information so that we can impeach you, or we're going to impeach you.
Got it.
Because now you're doing double impeachment stuff. But for him, it probably is the best strategy because it buys him
you're
time.
Gonna impeach me anyway.
It's going to have to go to the courts, which will take forever. And so far, everything that he's shown us has made him look really guilty, including that transcript, which he keeps telling us to read. And I'm like, man, I read it.
Yeah, we read it.
It's exactly what the whistleblower said.
Right.
So if you aren't caught up, that's kind of a real quick version of what's going on with the impeachment. But my favorite Trump story right now.
Well, also, the Giuliani guys were arrested.
Yes, a couple guys associated with Giuliani were arrested today for campaign finance or campaign finance
in
violations.
The center of the Ukraine thing. Yeah.
Yes. So this is the Trump story that I wanted to talk about, though. Trump was being asked about the death of this British teen, okay?
Yeah.
Because this teen, did you hear this story, Lazlo? This British teenager was killed in a car crash that was allegedly caused by the wife of a U.S. diplomat.
Right.
So you got a U.S. diplomat His wife is driving a car. She's in England. I guess she drives down the wrong side of the road.
The wrong side of the road.
She gets confused. Causes a car accident, allegedly, and then this teenager dies in the car crash. So the press asked Trump.
Well, she used diplomatic immunity to leave the country.
Yes,
so
she's
out
left.
of the country now.
She leaves the country. So the press said, hey, you have this wife of a diplomat who has now left the country using diplomatic immunity, even though she caused this car crash, allegedly, that killed this teenager. What are you going to do about that? Don't you think that maybe, they are our allies? Should we maybe let them take her to court or whatever? And his response was, you know what?
That happens to everybody.
It happens to everybody. She was in a car accident. It happens.
Drive on the wrong side of the street. People all drive weird. Steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car. Drive on the wrong side of the street.
This is a serious question. Do you think Trump has ever driven a car? I mean, he's probably been behind.
I've
the
never
wheel
seen
of
him
one,
drive one.
But growing up in New York,
I'm sure he's driven, but not much.
And that much money, I don't think he's ever been behind the wheel.
Not much. Probably not.
I've seen pictures of him behind, but I don't think he's driven.
Well, he says in the statement, I'm not going to say I've done it, but I've done it. Whatever that means. Listen to this.
The woman was driving on the wrong side of the road. And that can happen. Those are the opposite roads. That happens. I won't say it ever happened to me, but it did. When you get used to driving on our system and then you're all of a sudden in the other system where you're driving, it happens.
Hold on. You won't say it happened to you, but it did. Did you kill someone, dude?
Yeah.
No, he's saying he got confused and drove on the
wrong side of the road. Yes, but then also, why would you say...
They always say, Chevy Chase was the king of double talk. Man, this is a new level. I won't say that ever happened, but it did.
But it did. I don't know. I get what he's trying to say. I hate to admit that he just misspoke.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but just the way you say it.
I wouldn't know. I've never admitted it before, but I've done it.
That's what he's saying.
I've done it.
Right.
But dude, someone's dead. This is the picture of the kid. This kid is dead now.
Yeah.
And I understand that you're like, oh, it happens. Yeah. You know what else happens? People get drunk and drive their cars and kill people, and they go to jail for it.
Right.
Was she drunk?
It's called manslaughter. No, but she's driving down the wrong side of the road. You could still go to.
Right, but I hadn't heard that there was any accusation.
No, I'm just saying that people do that.
Okay.
To just say, well, yeah, people do it. People do it. Yeah, and people get in trouble for it.
Right.
If you drive your car down the wrong side of the road, stone sober here, you go, I was confused, man. These medians and everything. You kill someone.
It's not like everyone jaywalks.
Right.
You killed someone.
I'm not saying you have to go to jail forever. I'm just saying that you at least need to follow through with the system and go to court and find out, how liable are you for this accident, right? And to just say I'm going to use diplomatic immunity when you've got so many things hanging over your head right now.
Really
why have this out there? Just send her back, right?
Right.
I mean, I get why she's doing it. If I were her, and my husband's like, you can use diplomatic immunity, get out of the country, quick.
Yeah, and
then of course
Boris
I would
Johnson's
try it.
calling for her back too.
Oh, he is? Boris Johnson wants her back? Okay.
Yeah.
And then less important stuff, a dog accidentally shot a woman. Now, luckily, he shot her in the leg. But a 79-year-old guy in Oklahoma was driving around with a loaded gun in his car. His dog got scared by a train. Train comes by, makes a loud noise. Mm-hmm. Dog gets scared and jumps on the gun, according to him, and ends up shooting this 44-year-old caretaker of his in the leg. She survived, and she's going to be okay, but the dog, according to him, did shoot her.
What happened?
Well, a gun went off.
She shot herself?
No, she didn't do it herself.
Who shot her?
Well, it just went off. We had a dog in here, and he stepped on the gun.
The dog shot her?
Yeah. She's bleeding pretty bad.
I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I gotta lay down.
I don't feel good.
I lay down.
Come on, fellas.
Listen to
Tougher than that, I know. I'm trying to find something to wrap around her leg.
Okay, do you have a clean, dry cloth?
I can take my belt off maybe and wrap around the head of it.
Okay, do that.
Now, I don't know, did that remind you of anything, that guy's voice? Because you know that one of my favorite idols in radio is a fictional character made up by some jocks from Oklahoma.
Okay.
Doug and Phil Stokes work at KMOD. They had a fictional character, Roy D. Mercer. My name is Roy D. Mercer. Mm-hmm. I used to buy the tapes, like the truck stop tapes, and listen.
Okay.
Like the greatest prank phone call guy of all time, I think. Way better than Jerky Boys and all that. It was so funny. But he did this over-the-top Southern accent, which is now the Southern accent that I mimic because I heard him doing it so much as a kid. And I realized when I heard this guy's 911 call, that's an Oklahoma accent. Because this happened in Oklahoma, and this guy sounds exactly like Roy. Listen to him.
What happened?
Well, a gun went off.
She shot herself?
No, she didn't do it herself.
Who shot her?
Well, it just went off.
Well, it just went off. He sounds exactly like Roy.
Right.
I thought they were being pranked. I was like, man, Roy D. Mercer is back and claiming that a dog just shot the caretaker. Yes. And also, we laugh. because she survived. She got shot in the leg, but she's going, I'm bleeding. I'm not feeling good. And I thought,
So the dog shot her?
Well, that's what he claims.
Didn't the guy seem annoyed? He's like,
yeah,
get off I guess
it.
I can take my belt off.
Why does he say, get off it?
Yeah,
is he
get
saying,
off
like,
it.
quit whining?
That's
or,
what I think,
or is he
yeah.
saying, literally, get up off of something so that I can wrap your leg?
I took it as quit your whining.
Me too, because she's like, oh, God, I don't feel so good. And I thought, you think, like, if you get shot in the leg, yeah, it'll hurt like hell, but you'll be okay. But no, if I got shot in the leg, I'd be thinking I'm dying, right? Because I guess you would be bleeding a ton, and you'd be worried, like,
big artery in your leg.
Could this kill me? So yeah, I guess I would be very worried. Whether or not this is going to hold up, saying that the dog shot her, I have no idea, but that's what he's claiming. A couple were arrested, well, a couple of friends were arrested in New Jersey for cheating. They were cheating at church bingo.
Oh.
I guess they were putting fake numbers on their cards and they got caught. They were trying to win the grand prize, and that grand prize was like $200.
Yeah, bingo's big business. It's a shame, but people sometimes they get desperate and they do things.
People would step so low to do something like that, and it's a disgrace to this community.
It seemed like they did their homework, so it wasn't an accident. So, I mean, they were trying to get some money out of it.
Nowadays, I won't pass anything by anybody. It's amazing what these people can do nowadays. I think they should go to jail.
You got to do what's right, morally right.
Wait, you think they should go to jail? They were cheating at church bingo to win $200.
They should go to jail.
Couldn't they just get banned from playing church bingo again? They're now...
I don't know. It's some sort of... If I was cheating at a casino to try to win $200,
Yes.
you'd send me to jail?
I feel like it's different.
Well, I don't. Just because the Lord's involved doesn't matter to me.
This is a friendly game of
Cheater's a
bingo.
cheater.
It's almost like game night, and the church has organized it, and you can win $200, and so they cheated. And that woman in the thing that they interviewed from the bingo thing, she's like,
I think not only should they go to jail, they should go to jail for a long time.
it's amazing what they can do now. What do you mean what they
these
can
people,
do?
they're stealing from God.
They glued numbers onto a bingo
They're stealing
card
from
from
God.
what I can tell to try and the prize was $200. Laszlo.
I think they should be executed.
$200? Well, they're facing fines of $1,500 apiece.
Good for them. And jail time, I hope.
All right. I assume that you're being sarcastic.
I'm not.
But,
I hope they're sodomized.
a family is suing Tesla, which this has happened before. A family sued Tesla, like a year ago when that guy died? He got a birthday present, and the birthday present was a Tesla. I think it was a Model X or something. Okay. And he had it on autopilot and crashed into a barrier or something, and the family tried to sue. I don't know what happened with that lawsuit. Now we've got a new lawsuit. This teenager and his friend were in a Tesla, and they got killed. And the family is suing because they say that they told Tesla to put a governor on the car, okay? A speed limiter. Yeah. And they're making it sound like Tesla did put the speed limiter on there, and then later during some sort of service at the Tesla dealership took it off. That's what the story makes it sound like. And then this kid was able to speed with his friend and get killed. Now, here's the thing. The reason they put the governor on there in the first place is because the kid got caught doing over 100 miles an hour in the Tesla.
Okay. They can just put governors on.
A lot of cars have governors on them. Your car probably has a governor on it right now.
But if you just ask them, they can just,
I was thinking of that. It's probably easier on a Tesla because there's a computer in there that dictates everything about how. Right. I mean, your car has one too, but those batteries you can limit it. And the family also claims that Tesla. Now, I don't know if this family is putting this in the lawsuit, but other lawsuits have said that Tesla saved money and didn't install some sort of firewall that they could have put over these batteries to protect people from these fires. But I think this guy is specifically just suing over this speed restrictor thing. This is the dad talking to the news.
We need to understand, why would they take it off, one, and then two, why, if they did take it off, why would they take it off without disclosing it?
Okay, I get that. I'm sort of on board with that. But then also, the guy who died was 18, so he's an adult. And he was going well over 100 miles an hour, they said. And he'd gotten caught doing over 100 miles an hour before. It says in this story that he traveled at 116 miles per hour, lost control on a curve, and careened into a concrete wall. I mean, 116 miles an hour, and you're an adult.
Yeah.
Like,
it's risky.
It's risky. Now, but then I get that the dad is saying, but we told you to put this speed restrictor on the car, and you took it off.
160 miles an hour.
Right. And you did it more than once.
Right, yeah.
Like, the reason it's so invigorating, so exciting to do 100 miles an hour, because it's good chance it's going to kill you.
Right.
One small mistake, and you're going to die in a fireball.
That's what gets your adrenaline going. The fact that it's really dangerous.
Right. And so I don't know that I love the idea of them being sued over this.
It's like having unprotected sex with, gets your heart going.
Yeah. Risk versus reward. All right, that's headlines.
The Church of Lazlo. 96.5 The Buzz.
What gives you the most anxiety? Like, if you think of one thing that when you're laying in bed at night and you're anxious, what's
I'm
the
a
thing that comes?
hypochondriac, so that gives me anxiety. Like right now, my throat's sore, so I'm pretty sure I smoked too many cigarettes when I was in L.A., so now I have throat cancer.
Yeah, okay, I get
positive.
Definitely have that. I have that, and I have that which is exactly what you're talking about. Your throat hurts right now. I've had the scratchy throat that I cancer. But anytime I get sick...
And money, no matter what. Like, I have the same anxiety over money. When I didn't make any money and I lived in an apartment with a Murphy bed, I had it's just anxiety over money over different things. Now I'm like, how in the world am I ever going to pay kids' colleges?
Yeah, but
what I mean? Like,
it's a little different, right? Because even though you still are
how
like,
am I going to pay off these
my
credit
bills.
cards? What am I going to do about a car? I mean, it's still anxiety. It's more money, more problems, I guess. But you still have anxiety over it day to day. I've never made enough where I've made enough where I don't have to worry about it. Like I'll
be able to get by. No
yeah,
problems.
I should be able to get by. But it's still, there's a fear like, Jesus.
Yeah, but the bigger, more money, more problems, I guess is what you're talking about. But because there is a point where,
but yes, more money, it's also more debt.
That's what I'm saying. You have so much more debt, and there's so much more that you owe. I mean, it's not like...
it just feels like this avalanche sitting above you where it's like, if any of these House of Cards tent poles that you've built up and people actually finally realize what you are, which is a fraud, you'll never get out of this hole that you've built yourself. So, yeah, that gives me anxiety.
Right, because losing your apartment when you're 22 or the lights getting turned off, you're like, all right, now you just got to scrape together $500, sell some video games or whatever, and try and get the lights turned back on. But when you own a house and you're making a car payment and you got all and your insurance and life insurance, just dumb stuff, and then you got to worry about college for your kids and getting them to school and then their health insurance and all that, it's a lot.
Right.
And you have kids that you're responsible for, so it's a whole other
and an ex-wife. I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, there's a whole lot of money going out, not that much coming in.
And you said the health thing. When I'm sick, like even if everyone around me has all been sick, everyone got the flu, or everyone got this food poisoning or whatever, we all have it. I think, no, mine's something else. It's going to kill me.
Right.
Whatever I have, this is killing me. Or maybe I think I have what everyone else has. It's just that this is going to kill me.
Right.
There's no way you feel as bad as I do, and I'm not going to make it through this. So these are the things that people get anxious about the most. I saw this on Yahoo. And we'll just do the top 10 things here that people get anxious about. Large crowds is number 10, which I do have. I get claustrophobic. And if I'm trapped in a crowd, like walking into Arrowhead, when you got the big crowd of people waiting to get through the thing, I get real worked up about that. I have to mentally prepare myself to go stand in that thing and be shoulder to shoulder. Or anytime you're moving with the crowd's all moving towards an exit or moving towards...
I don't like that, the herding mentality, but I don't...
I get so claustrophobic.
It doesn't...
It freaks me out.
But it's only for like a moment.
Well, it depends on how long. Like when you're standing in that crowd for half an hour to get into the stadium.
Yeah, but still, it's only a half hour. Like that doesn't end. The health thing and the money things, that can go for years.
Yes. But
so I'm like, oh man, I'm uncomfortable. I really need this plane to land.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, not that I'm scared it's going to crash, but I'm just starting to freak out and get claustrophobic. It's only for a finite amount of time.
Right.
These other ones that we're talking about, they're just always hanging over you.
Yeah, like that's how I feel about public speaking. Was high on the list. It's number 9. I don't really have to do public speaking unless we're at a concert and we're doing stage announcements or something.
And it's over in a second.
And that's over, exactly. So I get anxious about that. I don't like being there, but I know it's over. It's kind of like a piano recital.
Yeah.
Like just get through it and it'll be over and then you can go home and relax.
Kind of like sex.
Number 8.
Just get through this.
Yeah.
And go home.
Well, that's... Just get through this with sex is a lot different. Telling yourself just get through it. It's not about, at least not for guys. You can't just get through it. You have to.
I can get through it.
Yeah, but I have to. I get anxious about that. Number 8 is your significant other. Things that people get the most anxious about or stress the most about. Number 7, politics.
I don't got that anymore.
What's the politics thing? How do you...
Like where the
what are
world's
people,
headed?
Right, like are people up late at night worried about Trump being president? I mean, I
like
get
you,
that.
Like, we're going to go to a war with Russia or something, I think.
Okay. Yeah, there's been times where I'm like, oh, no, this looks like a nightmare. What if there's a war? But politics in general, they don't cause me too much anxiety. Like, I don't have panic attacks. Like, I got to kill myself. I can't do this. Right. I can't. He's going to be president for another 2 years, possibly 6. No. I can't do it. That doesn't get to me like that. It stresses me out a little bit. It bothers me. I'm annoyed by it. Like, God, I want this to end. This is embarrassing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't lay it in bed and go, I can't
clearly
sleep.
other people do, so maybe that's the percentage. With that, this, obviously we have white male privilege and we own it and understand it. There's certainly people who are affected more by Trump's politics.
If you're worried that you're going to lose your health care and all that stuff. Number 6 is meeting new people, which I don't
like to do.
Right, I don't like to do it. And what are we talking about? Are we talking about like you introduce me to someone at work and I have to have a quick stop and chat? Or are we talking about a game night? Because those are different things. Like a social gathering where you say we're all going to go to dinner. And
I don't want to do.
There's going to be all these people at dinner, and you're not going to know most of them, or you're just going to be meeting most of them, and we're going to sit at dinner for 2 hours. That makes me very uncomfortable.
I don't want to do game night.
Number 5, conflict with others. Well, yeah, isn't that kind of covered in some of the other things? Number 4 is health issues, which is what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Scratchy throat. You don't even have to have a scratchy throat, by the way. Sometimes I can lay there and think, and not be sick and think, all right, what have I eaten for the last 2 years? If I went and had a physical right now and they took my blood,
that'd be bad.
What would my cholesterol look like? What would my triglycerides look like? All that stuff that last time, I don't know, I didn't even know that they tested for the one time I did a physical. Right. And I decided I'm never doing this again.
Right.
Well, I got to make some changes.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, but then I do start thinking, like, I got to make some changes. All right, starting tomorrow, you got to stop with this whole laissez-faire. I've been doing this, like, living La Vida Loca with the food for the last, like, year and a half. You've noticed. I didn't drink pop for a long time. I drink a big Pepsi every day now. And when I get home, when it's time for dinner, I'm like, well, fried chicken again? I like fried chicken. I went so long being scared and super anxious about food because I was super anxious about my health that I overdid it. And I was like, all right, no sugar. Got to stay away from the fried stuff. And then I did that for too long, so now I've gone completely opposite in the other direction. I go to Price Chopper almost every night, and the same guy who works in they have the pre-prepped food area. It's the same guy every night. Like, he sees me now. I go in there to get dinner every night. He has become my personal chef.
Oh, that's nice of him.
It is nice, and I really like the guy, and actually, he is part of the reason that I continue going back. I'm like, you know what? I like that guy. It's easy to do it. There's usually not a long line. I'm going to go in there and see what he's got. And I like the deals that they have. But I go in there every night now, and he's like, hey. I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, so what is it tonight? And it's not like they have a huge variety of food.
No, what do you get?
Okay, so they have fried chicken.
They have the same stuff at all of them, right?
Pretty much. They have fried chicken, rotisserie chicken. Then they
Chinese
have
food?
Catfish. They don't have Chinese food at this place. It's not a very big. This is a smaller Price Chopper. They have catfish. They have chicken nuggets. They have chicken strips. They have collard greens, macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes and gravy, corn, and then this is the thing about this Price Chopper. They let you pick from your sides instead of just the stuff under the hot thing where it's the potatoes and the mac and cheese. They let you go over to the fancy pasta salad stuff and you can pick those things as your sides too. So tortellini salad, potato salad. Dude, I know. They include it. It's insane. That always that stuff's always extra. They always charge extra for that.
Man.
That's not included.
But you go there every night?
I don't know if he's making a mistake about that or not, but he's been including it every night. Yeah. They have tamales.
You go there every night?
I had tamales last night. Yeah. They have the tamales there and they have the meatloaf.
And you pick it up and take it home?
I pick it up and take it home. He wraps it all up in saran wrap for me, and then I grab a couple of cream sodas or something on my way out because, like I said, I haven't been too worried about my health lately. And then I take it home. And then my girlfriend works at home. She's an accountant and she works on her computer at home, so I bring it home like, here's dinner. And every night she's like, all right. What is it tonight? She knows it's coming from the grocery store, and she's never complained. Huh?
You guys just eat meatloaf together?
Yeah, whatever it is. Like I said, tamales last night. A lot of chicken. Fish. I had catfish. Yeah, so tonight I'll go in there and see, and, maybe I'll have something surprising. I'm thinking about getting beans tonight. I haven't
beans?
No, like I want beans as a side. I've been thinking about my sides. I was actually thinking about it earlier today.
What kind of beans do they have?
They have like barbecue baked beans and stuff. But that tortellini salad is so hard to say no to because I don't know how long is this going to last until he figures out that it's
get extra of
not supposed to be included in the size. Okay, then the top 3 things people get anxious about. I'm not anxious anymore because I'm excited about dinner. Money is number 3, of course. Social gatherings, which to me, that's game night.
Okay, yeah.
That's separate from meeting new people. I can meet people. If you want to introduce me to someone, that's fine. But a social gathering, hell no.
I don't like that.
Unless it's you coming over to watch football, that's way different.
Not a social gathering.
Social gathering is people that you're not
also
that
doesn't
familiar
happen.
with. No, it doesn't. But
last time it happened,
the Chiefs lost to the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
No, Alex Smith.
Yeah.
It's only been a couple years
ago.
It's only been a couple years. And the number one
3 years ago, I went to your house.
Number one thing people stress out about? Work.
Oh, yeah.
Do you stress out about work? I mean, I do, but not like I'm going to kill myself kind of stress.
Yeah, because here's the thing, and I know people know this, but radio is one of those jobs where you and everyone in this business is prepared to get fired at any moment.
You expect it every day.
So there was a time when I first started in this business where I thought it would really stress me out and bother me.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that revolves around money a little bit. So it does, work and money, it does come into play a little bit. But not as bad as it should, probably, because, after a while, if you just eat an S sandwich every day, sooner or later, it's just a sandwich. And so, to me, that's kind of like, well, being anxious about getting fired from work or not doing good or whatever, that's kind of gone now because I always feel that way.
Yeah, and okay, but the
ratings come out once a month, and I wake up with diarrhea that day. And it's happened for the last 20 years.
Yeah, but I did just think of something because I feel almost exactly the same way as what you're saying. But the last week, Nick Wright, it was his birthday, and you were talking about being an adult, like that thing that happens when you're 35.
Right.
You're just an adult now. You're not a young adult, and even at 34, not that you were positive, but you're like, maybe I'm a young adult. Something about that 35, we all went, boy, I'm just middle aged now, or whatever it is. I'm definitely an adult. There is something about as I got older, because I started here when I was 20. I started working for Intercom when I was 20. I have no college degree, so if I get fired, I have to try and find something in this realm, or I have to go with one of my backup plans, which I hope to God I can deliver Pepsi to stores or whatever. I want one of those jobs where I'm on the road. I don't think I could work in an office. But as I get older, I think, would they take a chance on me now that I'm this age? Because you take a chance. If you don't have a degree, those places, they'll take chances on young people sometimes. They think, well, maybe we can get a lifelong employee and we can train them, and as I get older, I worry.
For that.
My dad got fired all the time, okay? He always got fired. And it was not because performance issue. It was like, this company's going out of business. We're downsizing. He just always was in an industry where they were downsizing. And he always made minimum wage. So I guess in one way it was good that he made minimum wage because he was like, I'll just find another minimum wage job. But he constantly had to find work. And as he got older, I remember them talking about, your dad's in his 50s or whatever, and it's tough. And, he was in his 60s. And, he's trying to find work. And that was stressful. As you get older, and knowing that people don't want to hire older people. So that's probably what stresses me out about work the most. But on this list of stuff,
I think it's just work mixed with the money. And it's more the money thing. Like, where if and when they fire me, which they will at some point, how am I going to get that money?
Yes.
I'm going to have to rob somebody.
What do you stress out about that's not on the list? Any of it? Like they talked about social media and stuff. That stuff, that can annoy me.
I feel like they nail most of it. I don't stress out about too much, but... things that weigh on your mind, you don't have to deal with this. Sometimes I think about what's it going to be like dying alone.
What do you mean I don't have to think about that?
Well, you have a girlfriend who lives with you, so chances are you're going to die with her there.
But I don't have kids.
But at least you have that.
I think about that because I don't have kids.
It's worse. Or maybe we think about it, but I think now I'm going to die. I'm going to die alone and leave my kids.
Yeah, but you'll have kids, so you're not really dying alone because your kids are there.
I'm leaving them.
I get that, but and that's terrible. But I'm just saying, if my girlfriend and I break up, my siblings are all older than me, so if I were to live average life expectancy, and so are my brothers, that means I would outlive them, which I don't necessarily think I'm going to outlive all my brothers, but they are all older than me substantially, and then I don't have any kids. So if I do live to be 80... I
just assume my kids will be like me and move across the country somewhere.
That's true. And then
I'm just going to live in that house over there and off Metcalf and just die alone.
Well, you brought this around because that's the thing that I stress out about the most that isn't on the list. Because I stress out about a lot of stuff. No, about my mom. I feel guilty about, I should have talked to my mom. I should have gone to see my mom today.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't go see her today. Why didn't I do that? God, I feel like I'm such a crappy son. I think and when my dad was alive too, just stress about being a bad son.
Right.
I've always been stressed about that. Am I doing the right thing?
She did a good job of guilting you into that.
Right?
Yeah, she did.
Right? And I think she would probably admit to at least close friends with closed doors that was kind of her. Rather than just using a heavy hand,
right?
It was more about, sure am disappointed in you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not angry. I am disappointed. Huh?
Just go over there.
I do. I do.
Well, you're fine then.
Huh?
You're fine.
I know, but then I go over there and I feel like a good person because I said hi and all stuff, but then I also take her prescriptions home with me without her knowing, and then I'm like, man, I've ruined that whole...
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
It's old prescriptions.
She easily pay... I'm sure she knows.
She knows.
She easily pay you in drugs for your company.
Well, she doesn't need to be taking the stuff anyways. She's had it for 10 years. It's expired.
You're not a doctor,
I say, Mom,
so you know what?
Mom, you're not... her doctor tells her not to.
You don't know that, so let's just leave that to a doctor. I don't think you should be telling your mom what to take and what not to take.
Anyway, text line, I don't take her prescriptions.
Yes, you do.
I'm joking. No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
And then you bring them to work. You're
no,
like, boys,
I don't.
what's in my bag?
That's absurd. And I have way better prescriptions than she does anyway.
And you still take hers.
No, I do not. I do not take her prescriptions. That's a little joke.
You took like 700 gabapentin or whatever.
It's a little joke.
Oh, your eyes got real big.
Let's start naming names.
I actually called you out with
now we're naming names. Real cool.
The Church of Lazlo on 96.5.